September 1954. Deep inside occupied Europe, German soldiers were hunting for one specific American weapon. Not Sherman tanks, not bombers, not heavy artillery. A tiny, silly little vehicle. The Jeep. And the craziest part? The same German generals who mocked it at the beginning of the war were now desperately stealing every Jeep they could find. Because this toy car had become one of the most dangerous machines on the battlefield. At first glance, the Jeep looked ridiculously silly. No armor, no massive cannon, no elegant engineering. Just a small, boxy truck that looked more like farm equipment than a military vehicle. German officers laughed at it constantly. Compared to Germany's sleek Kübelwagen designed by Ferdinand Porsche, the American Jeep seemed crude, unfinished, almost childish. To many Germans, it perfectly represented America itself. Loud, simple, unsophisticated, silly. But war has a brutal way of exposing bad assumptions. Because while Germany focused on building complex machines that required specialists and careful maintenance, America built something ordinary soldiers could fix with a wrench and pure stubbornness. And that changed everything. The Jeep was born out of desperation in 1940, when the US Army realized horses and motorcycles simply couldn't keep up with modern warfare anymore. The military demanded a lightweight four-wheel drive vehicle that could cross mud, hills, rivers, and rough terrain without falling apart. Over 130 companies were contacted. Almost all refused. The deadlines were insane. But one tiny, struggling company took the risk. Within days, engineer Karl Probst sketched out the machine that would eventually become the Jeep. And once soldiers got their hands on it, they started turning it into something nobody expected. In North Africa, British SAS commandos ripped the Jeep apart and rebuilt it into a desert attack monster. Machine guns mounted everywhere. Extra fuel strapped to the sides. No windshield. No unnecessary weight. Then came the famous desert raids. Under the cover of darkness, modified Jeeps raced across open desert and slammed directly into German airfields. In one attack, fewer than 20 Jeeps destroyed or damaged dozens of Axis aircraft in just minutes before disappearing back into the night. The Germans were stunned. Because this silly vehicle could suddenly strike faster than entire armoured columns, and the deeper the war went, the more useful the Jeep became. It carried wounded soldiers out of combat, delivered ammunition through artillery fire, dragged anti-tank guns through mud, pulled supply trailers across impossible terrain. Some Jeeps were even flown behind enemy lines inside gliders during airborne invasions. And unlike many German vehicles, the Jeep almost never stayed broken for long. If it failed, soldiers repaired it themselves, fast. That simplicity became a nightmare for Germany. Because while the Wehrmacht still depended heavily on horses for transportation, American forces were becoming fully motorized. And the Jeep was everywhere. France, Italy, the Pacific, Belgium, even Soviet troops received tens of thousands of them through Lend-Lease. By late 1944, German commandos preparing for the Battle of the Bulge specifically requested captured American Jeeps for infiltration missions. Not Kübelwagens, not German staff cars, Jeeps. Because everybody understood one thing by then. American soldiers trusted the Jeep completely. A Jeep could move through checkpoints without suspicion. It could go places heavier vehicles couldn't, and it kept moving when other machines failed. By the end of World War II, more than 700,000 Jeeps had been built, and suddenly, that silly little vehicle didn't seem so silly anymore. Even General Eisenhower later called the Jeep one of the most important tools of Allied victory. Not because it had the biggest gun, but because it helped every other weapon work better. It moved troops faster, supplies faster, medics faster, recon faster, everything faster. That was the real power of the Jeep. It wasn't designed to dominate the battlefield. It was designed to make an entire army unstoppable. And honestly, that may be why German generals hated it so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from.